What's up, YouTube? And I'm back at you in another video. And in this video, I'm going to give my prediction for the Georgia Bulldogs versus the Florida Gators. I look forward to this matchup every year. Great matchup between two blue blood teams, and I think this game going to be very, very interesting. And I'm just go ahead and read off the stats for both teams, and I'm going to give my prediction at the end of the video. You got two teams in the SEC East, and this game can have some, can decide, who could potentially, kind of take the lead probably in the SEC East. You got the Georgia Bulldogs. They're 4-0 in conference play, 7-0 overall. And right now, Georgia's the team out the East. They went out there, definitely get to the championship game. But it's also a tie though between two teams. Between Missouri. Missouri is right behind Georgia in the East with 3-1 in conference play and 7-1 in overall. And you got the Florida Gators, who are 3-1 also in conference play, and they're 5-2. So this game for Florida is very, very important. Florida was able to win this matchup. They'll have a one-up on Georgia in East, but Georgia will still have to play Missouri, another team. Looked pretty good this season so far. So a lot riding on this Florida game. Florida will have to win this matchup and continue to win out if they want to get to the SEC championship. But speaking of Florida, I'm gonna go ahead and read off their stats. And Florida has brought in, transfer quarterback Graham Mertz. It's gotten better. Had a rough start. Starting off in season. But so far, he's thrown for 1,897 yards. He has 12 touchdowns and 2 interceptions. So he greatly stepped up his game. His last matchup against South Carolina looked really, really good. The Florida offense was able to score. Be that it made, that was South Carolina. South Carolina's defense is not that good, but still being able to put up points, in a matchup against a rival, really, really good matchup. It's going to be unfortunate that, we won't see the Florida versus South Carolina matchup, every year going into next year. But they did a phenomenal job in their matchup against South Carolina. Now at running back for Florida, they have Montrell Johnson Jr. They actually got two really good running backs, but Montrell Johnson Jr., he has 85 carries for 438 yards rushing, and he has 4 touchdowns on the season. He's averaging 5.2 yards a carry. So this Florida run game is really, really good. They also have Trevor Etienne, brother Travis Etienne, from Clemson. This guy has 69 carries for 407 yards. So he has 3 touchdowns. So two capable backs for Florida, really, really good running backs for the Gators. And Graham Mertz definitely has some guys in the backfield that he can lean on, to keep this offense going in the direction that they're going. The offense just continues to get better through each game. And like I said, in their last outing against South Carolina, looked really, really good. At receiver, they're leaving receiver Ricky Pearsall. This guy's a beast of a player. Really, really good player. He has 44 receptions for 619 yards receiving, and he has 3 touchdowns, and he's averaging 14.1 yards a catch. They also have Eugene Wilson, the third. He has 251 yards receiving, averaging 9.7 yards a carry. He has 1 touchdown. And they also have a tight end, Arlise Boardingham, tight end, 205 yards receiving. He's averaging 11.4 yards a carry, reception, and he has 4 touchdowns. So Ricky Pearsall and Arlise Boardingham are the two guys that's really getting a lot of the receptions, for the Florida Gators. But those guys are going to be tasked with going against a Georgia defense that, even though hasn't been as dominant as the 2 years before, still a really, really good defense. So the Florida Gators got to be able to put up some points against this Georgia Bulldog team to win this matchup. Defensively, they got a lot of great guys. Shamar James, he has 50 total tackles. He's their leading tackler on defense. He has 1 sack, and just a leader on the team. This Florida defense, you would think, with all the talent that they have, Florida has struggled defensively the last couple of years, and they continue to struggle. A lot of points in their matchup against South Carolina, but still a talented team. They just got to find a rhythm and put things together on the defense. They have new defensive coordinator, Austin Armstrong, great young guy, great young defensive mind, but he has to find a way to put the game together and, get the guys on defense to have continuity because they definitely have the talent. They just got to put it together. Devin Moore at cornerback, he has 1 interception, but definitely this team as a whole, they have 11 total sacks. Definitely not where they want to be defensively, but they're still talented. I mean, still got a lot of guys on that team that can step up. They got Cam Jackson at defensive line. They just have a lot of guys, they just got to put it together, and we're waiting on to see that from the Florida Gators, for their defense to get back to being really, really good. The defenses of the past, Florida was known for one of those teams that always had a great defensive backfield. So they definitely got to get that going. But if they some kind of way put that together in this matchup against the Georgia Bulldogs, the Bulldogs could be looking for a long day, Of course, the game's going to be played in Jacksonville, so it's probably going to be the last year that's going to be played there. But it's in Florida, so you would think, Florida would have the advantage considering it's almost like a home game, but it's at a neutral site. But we'll go over to the Georgia Bulldogs. Now, Georgia's bringing in a new quarterback as well. Carson Beck has looked really, really good in the last couple of matchups. It seems like he's getting a rhythm with the offense. He's bonding with Mike Bobo, their new offensive coordinator. So far, he's thrown for 2,147 yards. He has a 73.6 completion percentage. He has 12 touchdowns and 4 interceptions. So he's greatly improved between the last 2 games. It seems like he's settling in, like I was mentioning. The offense was kind of shaky at first, but Georgia seems like they found their groove in the last couple of matchups, and they had a bye week, and they're going into this game this Saturday. So it's going to be interesting to see what this Georgia Bulldog offense looks like. They had some guys injured early on in the season, but they was able to get some guys back. Running back, they got Dajon Edwards, 80 carries for 460 yards with 6 touchdowns. He's definitely the guy for the Georgia Bulldogs. They also got Kendall Milton. He has 196 yards rushing, and he has 3 touchdowns. So outside of Dajon Edwards, he's definitely the guy for the Georgia Bulldogs. You would like to see some of the other guys kind of step up, in the run game. Georgia's run game so far, in my opinion, hasn't been elite as it's been, in the past. So that's, to be understood because they're bringing in, newer guys, But this is the first time in a long time that I can remember that Georgia coming into the season had some question marks really about, the running back room, and only in the sense of, experience. Like I said, Kendall Milton's been there, but he's not the leading rusher right now. They got Dajon Edwards doing it. He's one heck of a player for the Georgia Bulldogs, but you would like for Georgia to get that run game going. It's not bad, but it's not not as lethal as it's been in the past. So definitely got to step that up. Now, at receiver, Georgia unfortunately, lost one of their best player. I'm just being honest. They lost their best player on the team, and Brock Bowers. He's gonna have to have a tightrope surgery. He could potentially come back by season's end, but losing a very, very key cog in their offense, and this guy he was doing everything for them. This guy was a mismatch and can definitely get open, and one of the reasons why Georgia was able to pull out that matchup against the Auburn Tigers. Auburn had no chance to win that matchup, offensively, but defensively they was able to hang in there. But Brock Bowers came in, he got hot, and he put the game away for the Georgia Bulldogs. So they definitely going to have to get somebody to step up in his absence. Now, they have Marcus Rosemary Jack Saint. He has 333 yards receiving. He's averaging 18.5 average each reception. He has 2 touchdowns. They got Dominic Lovett, 282 yards receiving. He has a touchdown. Rara Thomas, a transfer, he has 256 yards receiving and a touchdown. They have another tight end, Oscar Delp. Uh, he could potentially be one of the guys to step up, for Brock Bowers, considering he's a tight end. He has 160 yards receiving and 2 touchdowns. So uh, Georgia's not lacking of talent, but it's going to be interesting to see what they can do with Brock Bowers not being out there. Brock Bowers was the leading receiver with 567 yards with 4 touchdowns. So they definitely got to get some guys involved. Now, they might lean on Lad McConkey. He was injured early on in the season, but now he's been playing. He has 107 yards receiving. He doesn't have any touchdowns, so I expect him to get some, reps, going forward, and as well as Makai Muse, 120 yards and a touchdown. So several guys that got touchdowns on the season, but definitely got to replace that offensive output of Brock Bowers. Now, defensively, like I was mentioning, Georgia's still really, really good. Still, in my opinion, got a top 10 defense. Smell Munden, Jr., linebacker. He has 32 total tackles. He has 2 sacks, pass defendant. Really, really good player for them. Jamon Dumas-Johnson. He has 23 total tackles, 2.5 sacks, 1 pass defendant. I mean, this defense is really, really good. Malachi Starks on the back end, 25 total tackles. He's 3rd on the team in tackles. He has 4 pass defended and 2 interceptions. He's a really, really good player. He was a freshman last season. This year, got another year under his belt. And just a really, really good player on that back end. In my opinion, Georgia, got a really, really good secondary. They've had some plays where some teams was able to pass on stuff like that, but still a talented back end. With Malachi Starks and Tyke Smith on the back end. He's 2nd on the team with total tackles, 27. He has a sack, 1 pass defendant, and he has 4 interceptions on the season. So Tyke Smith is that guy. Those 2 guys, Starks and Smith on the back end, makes that Georgia defense really, really good. And in my opinion, I think Georgia's defense, secondary is better than last year's secondary. Just on the front end, I feel like they got to get they're not as elite on the defensive line they was in the last couple of seasons, but really, really good defense overall. I mean, Javon Bullard on the back end. That secondary is really, really good. Kamari Lassiter. I mean, I can keep going. A lot of good guys on that defense. Defensive line, Nazir Stackhouse. Those guys got to step up. Christian Miller. A lot of those guys got to step up. But this Georgia defense is really, really good. How could they not be good? They got guys, a really, really good defensive-minded head coach, and plus guys like Will Muschamp and, certain guys on that team, man, on that staff, just really, really good team. But long as Kirby's there, they always want to have an elite defense. So really, really good defense overall. Now, I was looking at some other stats, and I'm going to read off the other stats about total yardage and stuff like that. Georgia's averaging 509 yards a game. That's 337 yards through the air and 172 on the ground. What can you ask for? This offense is starting to click with Mike Bobo at the helm. Really, really good offense. Georgia's really, really good at moving the chains. And like I said, with Carson Beck back there, it seems like he's getting in a groove, and it's like their offense is starting to peak. For the Gators, they're averaging 421 yards a game. They're getting 280 through the air, and they're getting 141 on the ground. Not bad. They probably would like to get their rushing game up to like 150 yard, per game rushing. But still overall pretty good. And look like they're getting better offensively as well. So it's going to be interesting to see what happens in this matchup. Yards allowed, Georgia's allowing 262. That's very, very good. They're only allowing 171 yards through the air, and they're only allowing 91 yards rushing. So a really, really good run defense. And that's one of the things that Florida likes to do is run the ball. So it's going to be tough running against this Georgia defense for the Florida Gators. Florida's only allowing 312 yards a game. They're allowing 187 through the air, and they're allowing 124 on the ground. They definitely got to fix that rushing yards allowed a game. They just got to fix their defense as a whole. I mean, there's been some games where they just seemed like they couldn't get it together. Teams was able to run and pass on them. So this Florida Gator defense, they got to be able to stop Georgia. If they can't, they're going to be in for a long day Saturday. So I was looking at both teams, last opponents that they played. Georgia beat South Carolina 24-14. Really, really close matchup. South Carolina played a really, really close game with Georgia. UAB, they beat them 49-21. Auburn, they beat them 27-20. Kentucky, they beat Kentucky 51-13. And then they beat Vanderbilt 37-20. And like I said, not the defense of the past. Last couple of defenses, Georgia had in 2021 and 2022, they was holding teams, I think, about 7 points a game or something like that. So definitely not the same defense as before, but still a really, really stout defense. Any defense that can hold a team to like 20 to 24 points a game, that's really, really good in my opinion, as long as you're able to score. And Georgia seems like right now they don't have any problem scoring. So that's good. This team like it's starting to peak right now. The Florida Gators, they beat Tennessee 29-16. Shocked me. I didn't think Florida was going to be able to beat Tennessee, but they was able to do it. They was, really, really live that game. That stadium was rocking. Tennessee went on the road, and Tennessee took that loss. So Florida Gators have the potential, to beat any team in the country. They just got to put it all together. Florida beat CLT 22-7. They lost to Kentucky 33-14. Just couldn't get it going against Kentucky. Kentucky pretty much ran all over the Florida Gator defense. So that doesn't bode well with this Georgia team that's able to run the ball too. So even though Georgia's not as elite as they want to be run the ball, they still, really, really good at running the ball. So Florida might be in trouble. Florida beat Vanderbilt 38-14. Interesting enough, the Florida Gators offense, start to click against Vanderbilt. I know Vanderbilt is not, elite defensively, anything like that, but still playing an SEC opponent was able to put up 38 points is really, really good. And then they beat South Carolina 41-39. Like I said, able to put up the points, but just defensively, it's not there. Definitely got to clean that up. I'm looking at the line for this game currently, and I'm looking at they got Georgia at 14.5 points. Like I said, the game's going to be played in Jacksonville, Florida, like it's always been. Neutral site game. If I had to give my prediction for this matchup, and I'm also read off one more stat. Let me look at one more stat for this game. I thought it was interesting. I just want to see how many points is the teams overall, like what they're averaging. If I'm not mistaken, I think Florida. I'm gonna look at Georgia's real quick. Georgia is averaging total points per game. They're averaging 41 points a game. So that's really, really good, for the Georgia Bulldogs. I'm gonna look at the Florida Gators. Florida Gators are averaging 29 points a game. So Georgia has the advantage in that matchup, for points per game. And as right now, a lot of people are predicting Georgia to win this game. And if I had to give my prediction, I'm picking Georgia to win this matchup. I just think, Florida just has too many problems defensively to be able to overcome the Georgia Bulldogs. Like I said, Georgia right now, they look really, really good. Offensively, they kind of struggled at first, but it seems like they're picking up their rhythm. Like they're starting to get the run game going. Their defense has always been stout. And I just don't see Graham Mertz, getting it done, against this Georgia Bulldog team. If Florida had a better defense, I think this will be a much closer game, and of course, I feel like it's going to be close at first. This is a rivalry game, you know. Florida Gators got a bye week just as well as Georgia. Had time to fix some things, they had to work on. Maybe we see a different defense, going into this matchup Saturday. But as of right now, I can definitely see Georgia win this game. I think they're going to be too much. And a lot of people may say Georgia may struggle that, Brock Bowers not being out there. But Georgia still has some talented guys, like I said, McConkey, Oscar Delp, Muse, Jack Saint. They got a lot of guys, they can get it done. And Carson Beck has shown the ability, to pass the ball around to different players. And I think they're going to get it done. It's definitely a game where Georgia can show the world, like, even though Brock Bowers not there, they're still capable of putting up points. And a lot of people riding Georgia off, but I think Georgia's still going to be able to put up points, even in the absence of Brock Bowers. And another guy that can potentially have a good game, maybe Persall for Florida can have a good game, but I just think Georgia's secondary is going to be too much. Like I said, they got Tyke Smith and Starks back there, Bullard, just a lot of great players in that secondary. But I got Georgia win the game. But what do you guys think? Leave your thoughts and comments in the comment section. And once again, if you haven't, please like, share, and subscribe to the channel. And I'll definitely be back with more college football content. Thanks, guys, and roll tide.